is a 5-minute business builder with Rick Howe, where your business comes first on News 95.7.
12:24 is the time, and from time to time, we welcome members of HRM's business community to the studio to join us for a few moments. And back with us this afternoon is Senior Mortgage Advisor Clinton Wilkins. Hi, Clinton.
How are you doing today, Rick?
I'm doing great, and how are you doing?
I'm doing just great. It's Thursday, and it's Financial Literacy Month, so we've been putting out lots of content and hopefully lots of good information.
So what is Financial Literacy Month? What this is all about?
Well, I think November's a great time to look at your personal finances. And really, in terms of mortgage, it's the biggest debt of your life, and buying a home is the biggest purchase of your life. So we've been talking about income, assets, and credit. And each week, we're kind of drilling down to a specific topic.
Okay.
And trying to give as much information as possible. I think information's power. And I think the more information you can have, the more educated of a decision you can make.
So you want to focus this segment on self-employment income.
Yeah, and as more and more Canadians are becoming self-employed every day.
Yeah.
I can tell you, in Halifax, in Atlantic Canada, we have a lot of people who are self-employed. And sometimes when you're self-employed, it's more challenging borrowing, more challenging buying a home. Because, as we all know, it's the old adage, it's not necessarily what you make, it's what you spend. And sometimes the income that you have on paper when you're self-employed isn't maybe enough to make the numbers actually jive. And self-employment, there's so many different types. You could have a corporation, or you could be a sole proprietor. There's so many different types of self-employment.
Or just running a little mom and pop shop out of your basement.
It could be a mom and pop shop as well. And, we really like to hold the client's hands, and especially when you're self-employed, there are so many different programs out there. And when you're looking at doing, buying a home or doing any type of mortgage lending, we're really looking at income, assets, and credit. And if the income on paper isn't quite there, there are some programs. So, there's still some stated income programs, and there's ways where you're self-employed that you can qualify and still be able to get a mortgage.
But you do have to jump through more hoops as if you're self-employed.
You may have to prove more information. So sometimes when you're self-employed, you need to provide 2 years of your tax returns, and we can look and see how much you've made the last 2 years and average that. If you're a sole proprietor, sometimes we can gross up that income that you're claiming. And if there's a corporation, sometimes we can add back some of your corporate profit. But if none of those solutions work, you might not be able to get traditional lending. But there are other options.
Non-traditional, what would that be?
So that would be like an alternative lender. So, I think the old, we've said the term subprime, but I think there's really near prime lenders, and they're certainly willing to lend in more urban areas,
but at a little higher cost.
Typically the rate could be a little bit higher, but would you rather pay a little bit higher in a rate in terms of a mortgage, or would you rather pay more income tax?
Yeah.
So, if you're not paying the tax, sometimes you have to pay a higher rate, or vice versa. And sometimes going with an alternative lender, it's a short-term solution. Maybe we need to put a client in one of these lenders for 1 or 2 years to get their situation cleaned up, and then be able to get back into a more traditional bank lender. We deal with a variety of different lenders, and I think just looking at all the different things that people have around their income, we can really put them in that right category. And sometimes when you're self-employed, there is a little bit more due diligence. Some lenders think that borrowers that are self-employed are more risky, but in my opinion, I'm self-employed. I think self-employed people are actually better. And, the reason being is if I need to make a little bit more money, I'm just going to work a little bit harder.
Yep.
But people like you, Rick, who are on a salary, it doesn't matter how hard you work. You're still going to get that same pay every 2 weeks.
I'm a hard worker. I'll tell you.
You're the hardest worker. And, we love coming on here. But people are self-employed. There's certainly pros and cons. But I think there's more and more people becoming self-employed every day.
You're going to be on with Todd this weekend to answer more questions?
Yeah, we're going to be on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. We're going to, talk a little bit more about self-employment and drill really down into some topics. And if you're self-employed, or if you know someone who's self-employed, I think tune in and certainly call in, and you can certainly ask us any of those questions.
All right, that's Saturday morning with Todd. Thank you, Clinton.
The News 95.7 5-Minute Business Builder with Rick Howe, where success matters.